Golf Central on YouTube, brought to you by the Rogue ST Woods and Irons from Callaway.
Hello, I'm Anna Jackson as we welcome you into your Golf Central update. Glad, as always, to be alongside Jim Gallagher Jr. because this week boasts the strongest field we have ever seen on the DP World Tour. Opening round of the Genesis Scottish Open did not disappoint. Tough conditions in the afternoon, but out in the early wave was Cameron Tringale, and he truly took advantage. Take a look at his scorecard. It was his low career round today, 9 under 61. And having a look at that stretch, 10 through 15, 6 consecutive birdies. He said his putter was on fire. So let's hear from our opening round leader.
Golf's always more fun when the putts are going in, and they were for me today, and had a great group of guys to play with, and it was relaxed. Everyone more or less had some good shots, and the vibe was good in our group, no doubt.
I know it's not your first trip to Scotland and certainly not your first time out on links turf, but coming into this week, would you have described yourself as a confident links player?
I would say so.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty creative when it comes to the shots around the greens and being able to visualize and imagine shots that aren't traditional for us in the States. And I just think it's so much fun to have that kind of optionality and to have fun with those shots. There's probably 5 ways you could play most shots, and so it's fun to be an artist out here. So in that respect, yes, I like my chances here.
So let's take a look at the leaderboard as we head into Friday at the Genesis Scottish Open. You can see Cameron Tringale, thanks to that pretty impressive opening round, 61. He goes into tomorrow with a 3-stroke lead over Gary Woodland. Now, considering we've got 14 of the top 15 players in the world, we've got only one of those, Sam Burns, featuring on the front page of that leaderboard. So for more, let's head out to Renaissance on this opening round and hear from Rex Hoggard with Sky Sports' Rich Beem.
Thank you very much. Rich, you've played this game long enough. You, better than anyone, understand there's a good side of the draw and a bad side of the draw. Players understand that, but how does it land with the guys who played in the afternoon through the worst of those conditions?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think these players are going to go home and kind of look back on the day and say, you know what, I did not get a very good side of the draw. But if you look at it, too, Justin Thomas didn't have a very good side of the draw of the PGA Championship a couple months ago, so that worked out pretty well from him. So I think that players understand that you're always going to have that where it happens, and hopefully it's going to be your week, because there's going to be weeks go throughout the year where you have, a bad side of the draw, and there's also going to be weeks where you have a great side of the draw. So it evens out, hopefully, at the end of the year. But today it was a little unfortunate because the players, when they woke up this morning, came out here, and there wasn't a breath of wind, blue skies everywhere. It couldn't have been easier for these guys going out this morning. In saying that, though, guys in the afternoon, they're looking up at the leaderboard and seeing -9 and thinking that's not possible today. So hopefully they'll get a little bit of a reprieve tomorrow, and maybe it'll gust a little bit more for the guys in the afternoon, but it's still supposed to be mostly breezy all day tomorrow as well.
That guy at 9 under par, Cameron Tringale, he went out early. He had the best of those conditions, but he still played an incredible round of golf. What did you see out of that round?
He looked very comfortable, hit some really quality shots, and then took advantage of every birdie putt seemingly he had, with the exception of the one maybe on 16. And when you're out there and you feel that good and the golf ball's going in, listen, the hole just keeps getting bigger and bigger as each birdie goes in. A run of 6 of them on the start off the back 9 today. And saying that, though, you're putting on some greens that aren't quite perfect. Not that they're bad, it's just they're slow. There can't be much more than about 9 on the stimp meter, if that. And so you just don't expect to make putts like that continually throughout the week. So I think tomorrow it's going to be interesting to see how he handles not only the fact that he's at 9 under par, but goes out, and if he misses the first couple of putts, anything inside of about 10 feet, how that's going to affect him for the rest of the day.
You mentioned the forecast for tomorrow. It is called for more wind, both in the morning, and it's going to come up again a little bit in the afternoon. Who behind Cameron do you think has the game and sort of has that mentality right now to catch him?
I would kind of be remiss if I didn't say Sam Burns right about now, because obviously he's a prolific winner on the PGA Tour so far. But it just seems to me like he's able to kind of go out there and create it as it comes to him, because that's what you need. You need to have the bravery, basically, to go out there and know that you're going to have to try and hit a 6-iron from 139 yards downhill par 3, right? Because you don't learn that in the United States. But when you come over here, it's something you have to make up on the fly. And I think that if all the players, all the young players especially, he looks like he'd be bold enough to go out there and just do whatever it takes to get the golf ball in the hole. So I look at him as a guy that is not afraid to hit the shot that's required, and really doesn't mind the fact that, it's going to be a sandwich from 185 downwind, and it's going to be a 6-iron from 135 back into the wind. So I think of all the young players I look at, it would seem to me like he'd be the most accepting of the conditions.
I heard you mention during the Sky telecast that the guys might not like those conditions, but you and I certainly do. It's entertaining nonetheless.
Oh, it's entertaining, absolutely. I think that if you play this game long enough, you know that you're going to get days like this. And so for me, it was interesting watching them try and tackle it and see who was able to kind of figure out how to negotiate this golf course. But the funny part about it to me was that watching the guys on number 14, little dinky par 3 down the hill, which I've hit lob wedge into, and these guys are trying to figure out how to hit a 7-iron low enough. And it probably is more like a 5-iron instead of a 7-iron because everybody was coming up short today. It's just one of these days where, like I said, you have to be bold enough to go ahead and just take something out that you've never done before, whether it's on the green, around the green, off the tee. You just have to try something different and enjoy it, because if not, if you let it eat at you, you're going to be miserable the entire time you're out there.
You and I will definitely enjoy it tomorrow.
Always.
Anna?
Thank you, guys. We will be enjoying it too. I mean, Jim, the difference between the morning and the afternoon wave today was undeniable. Such an advantage for those guys going out early, hence why Cameron Tringale managed to shoot 9 under. What did you notice about how today's play went down?
The 32 scores in the morning were under par, only 6 in the afternoon. Almost just over 3-shot difference in stroke average. That's a considerable difference when you look at that. We'll take a look at this graphic right here, 70.39 to 73.60. You don't see a lot of times this big a difference. You might see 1 shot, 2 shots, but those are the things when you come over to Scotland. Those are some of the things that happen out there. The waves are different, and I think that's what the guys had to adjust to. A lot of wind yesterday in the practice round, Pro-Am or whatever, with some rain, but they still had the wind. But this morning, there was wind, but nothing like they had in the afternoon. We were watching, and it was 25, 30-mile-an-hour gusts at time. That changes a lot of the strategy around here. It's a firm golf course, and we saw that. But I think that's one of the challenges, and sometimes you get in those good ways, sometimes you don't.
It's the beauty of Scotland.
It
you
is.
Can quite literally have all 4 seasons in one day, and you never know when they're going to come. It always leaves room for so much creativity to overcome the battle that you have to face. But in terms of preparation for the Open Championship, I mean, last year, Colin Morikawa really attributed a lot to his experience at the Scottish Open, because he'd never played links golf before.
Right.
And then he goes on to become an Open champion. How important is this week?
Oh, I think it's a great way of preparing. Just the bounce on the irons, how the club goes in through the ground. It's that firm ground over here, so it's a little different than maybe in the States where things tend to be a little softer. I think that's part of it. The wind, how far the ball goes, the strategy. It's like you're not always going to hit driver. And I think a lot of guys around here hit their lob wedges with chip shots. So those little, I think the biggest thing you said was creativity. I think that was my favorite part of coming over there, is being creative. And that's why we always seen Seve have such great success. Tom Watson, those great players were able to make the successful change in adjustments. But to be coming over for the Scottish and coming over for St. Andrews next week, it's huge for these guys. Just to prepare yourself. A lot of times we would fly over the week before, and it wasn't even the same kind of golf or golf courses. So I think it's a great idea to be able to do that. And these guys are taking advantage of it. And this is a good week. They're getting to see a little bit of wind, but warm. Things can change, as you know, real quick over there.
It's exciting. Back to the roots of the game. It's going to be a great couple of weeks. OK, well, this is what is coming your way tomorrow here on Golf Channel. The Genesis Scottish Open second round coverage starts at 8:30 a.m. Then you've got the next senior major of the year at 1:30. The Barbasol Championship takes over at 4 p.m. for second round coverage. Jim and I will be back for Golf Central post-game at 7 p.m. Well, plenty of golf coming your way over the rest of the week. The DP World Tour and the PGA Tour are in action right here at the Renaissance Club for the Genesis Scottish Open. We'll see you then.